Did you know, 90% of your favorite and hated musicians are employees to one guy? Despite him being able to own Ed Sheeran, Cardi B, CJ, the artist, not other things you might think of, just to name a few. He also pulls strings in politics among some of the superpower countries of the world, including America and Russia. Respected by President Putin himself and having a lot of money and power to affect your everyday life without you knowing it. He is one of the sleekest billionaires of the world. Pulling up a quick Google search, little to no information about him appears. So I dived into the deep dark web for more information on him. Successfully, I landed on all of it. Here is his rise from a common man to be among the 0.01% richest of the world, his journey to the top. And how you can copy-paste his method to pursue and succeed in your own pursuit of wealth. In the late 1950s, just 20 days, to the celebration of America's independence in 1957. In another part of the planet, Ukraine, to be specific, current United Kingdom's wealthiest man was born, Leonard Valentinovich Blavatnik, sorry if I butchered his name. Fast forward to his adulthood and path to wealth. At the age of 21, he moved to South Brooklyn, New York. Over the next decade, he flourished in his new home, earning a master's in computer science at Columbia University and an MBA at Harvard Business School, falling in love with and marrying Emily Apperson, an American media executive he met at a house party. Blessed with 2 daughters and 2 sons. He is very careful to protect the privacy of his family. Hence, very little is known about them. He changed his name from Leonid to Leonard and gained U.S. citizenship in 1984. This part is important to say, as those previous me, who did not acknowledge his U.S. citizenship, are facing some court battles. In 1986, he founded Access Industries, an international conglomerate company located in New York. By the end of the 1980s, he had made his first $1 million. His CV would later be critical to his success in Russia. There, almost all the would-be oligarchs were teaching themselves capitalism, and here was a Russian-speaking millionaire with an American passport. He had been educated in the U.S., he understood money and international finance as if it were second nature. Realizing this, his old friend Vekselberg, after a meeting in the late 1980s, convinced him that vast riches were lying in wait in the former USSR. Soon the two men were gathered around a small table in Vekselberg's cramped Moscow apartment, where he lived with his wife, daughter and in-laws. There, they formed the humble startup company, Renova. Renova was to be a company in response to Perestroika. Perestroika was a program instituted in the Soviet Union by Mikhail Gorbachev in the mid-1980s to restructure Soviet economic and political policy, seeking to bring the Soviet Union up to economic status with capitalist countries. This program allowed for the first time private businesses in the Soviet Union, now known as Russia. Back then, they were so wild that their business meetings began with a couple of vodka shots. The market the young friends were trying to break into in the early 1990s was not for the timid. Encouraged by Western advisors, then President Boris Yeltsin was selling off scores of state-owned mines, refineries and factories, in often dubiously administered tenders. Blavatnik had both the international connections to attract foreign investors and the local smarts required to succeed. He understood Russian rules very well, and used these rules as much as any other. You have to be friendly with the authorities, and if you can take something, you take. With Vekselberg handling much of the local work and Blavatnik running international sales from New York, their initial moves were in Russia's aluminium business. The pair began accumulating shares in an era that was later dubbed the Aluminium Wars. But there was more money to be made in oil. In 1997, the pair teamed up with another Ukrainian-born businessman, Mikhail Fridman. The trio launched AAR, Alpha, Access, Renova, and bought 40% of a struggling oil producer called TNK for $800 million. Working with Fridman, Blavatnik and Vekselberg, newcomers tycoons, it skyrocketed them to oligarch status, as they were able to interact with governors in the land. Remember guys, your network is your net worth. Alpha, Fridman's company, owned one of Russia's largest banks and had helped fund Yeltsin's re-election campaign. With Alpha as a partner, Blavatnik gained the political clout he had previously lacked. AAR soon won full control of TNK and began looking to expand aggressively, by acquiring assets from competitors. One such rival was Sidanko, part owned by British oil major BP. Through controversial bankruptcy proceedings, it was systematically broken up against its owner's will and its best assets sold off, mainly to TNK, for prices below the value of their reserves. While Friedman and Vekselberg became well known in the rough and tumble of Russia's early capitalism, Blavatnik sought a lower profile, an approach that would later smooth his path in the West. While his partners embraced their new prominence as Russian billionaires, Blavatnik moved in another direction. He spent some of his estimated $2 billion net worth at the time on a £41 million, 10-bedroom mansion in Kensington Palace Gardens, bookended by the Russian and Israeli embassies. This move propelled him into London's elite. Focused on putting down roots in London, he befriended Brown, a prominent member of the British establishment, who began introducing him in the high social circles. He also diversified his business away from Russia. In 2004, he bought a stake in Warner Music, and a year later paid $5.7 billion for Basel Polyolefins, a big petrochemicals producer. By then, his company Access was in effect two companies, one overseeing Blavatnik's highly profitable but low-maintenance Russian fortune, another for his chemicals and entertainment businesses. Looking to establish himself here in America, he purchased more stake in Warner Music, for $3.3 billion in 2011. In what he said was a mission to build a global media empire. As of today, the $3.3 billion investment has made his a profit of over $10 billion. Like many billionaire philanthropists, Blavatnik has channeled this bad fame in specific ways. While he is intensely private about his business interests in Russia and rarely gives interviews, he has ensured his name is prominent in various cultural institutions across the world. He donated £75 million to Oxford University in 2010 to set up the Blavatnik School of Government. A donation of more than £50 million to help finance Tate Modern's Blavatnik building. A $200 million donation to Harvard Medical School in 2018 to set up the Blavatnik Institute. His donations have however met some resistance in the West. The 2010 donation to Oxford sparked a backlash from academics and activists who said the university was selling its reputation and prestige to Putin's associates, and should reject the money due to his involvement with the Russian disputes. Pressure increased after suspicions arose in the U.S. that Russia helped Donald Trump win the 2016 presidential election. In Russia, Blavatnik's charitable giving sets him apart from other billionaires known for splurging on football clubs and yachts. His status in the West has clearly been protected by the effort he made to distance himself from Russian politics and, in particular, from Putin. There is no mention of Russian business activities in Blavatnik's biography on Access's website, nor trace of its remaining Russian industrial asset. So please hit the like, share and subscribe button for the effort we put into research. Thank you. We also upload one every Saturday.